isn't that just the cutest little thing I've ever seen? Hello there and welcome back to the Codex. So Nokko is here, our infested mushroom Warframe, Ureli's little brother, apparently. And thank God he's actually a good Warframe. I got two builds I'm going to show you here. One of them is going to be a very strange looking build, especially the Archon shard setup, that you probably will not see other people run, but I think that it makes Nokko very, very comfy to run. So the shards, as you can see here, are 4 Azure shards, which is not common to run, and they're all armor shards. Now, if you wanted to, you could replace one of these or another casting speed shard, because I am running 1 casting shard here, so it's 1 casting and 4 armor shards, which gives us 900 armor in total. Again, if you want to drop that for another casting speed, that's totally fine. It'll make him feel even more fluid to use, like tossing out his 4th ability and his 1 and 2 and whatnot. As for the actual build here, it is a very cute ability, and I do like running around as the Sprodling, but I did feel that replacing the 3rd ability, the Reroot ability, with Omamori is actually better for the purposes of this build. For one, it's the main thing that I like about it is that it doesn't stop your regular gameplay from occurring. When you're running around as a Sprodling, you are invulnerable and you're healing yourself and whatnot, but you can't do anything. You can't attack anybody. You can't cast anything else, so I prefer Omamori. It's still a very good kind of health tanking effect that helps keep you alive quite a bit, especially when you pair it with this amount of health tanking and shield gating, because we are also using Arcane Aegis. The 2 Arcanes, speaking of which, are Arcane Aegis for the occasional 12-second infinite shield gate, Arcane Blessing to give us 1200 additional health, which when that's stacked up all the way, we will have 1450 health. And then when you pair that with the additional 900 armor from the armor shards, putting us at 1035, and then another 1350 armor from health conversion, putting us up closer to 2.4k armor. So we have a whole lot of damage reduction. And that's not even counting the adaptation that we're also running, giving us up to 90% DR. And again, we're running Omamori, which technically is not DR, but mathematically it essentially functions as a 50% DR, along with randomly giving you health and sometimes shields back. So quite a lot of layers of defensive capability, along with the fact that if you do go down, his passive allows you to just walk into one of your mushrooms and instantly get yourself back up, with the only downside being that it will get rid of all your mushrooms. So if you do have your full 6 mushrooms down, because you can have 4 of your first ability up, 2 of your second ability down, you can have up to 6 mushrooms in total. If you do use a mushroom to revive, all 6 of them will go away, so make sure that you get those back out immediately. His 4th ability is actually surprisingly powerful, as you'll see in the gameplay here. It is very, very easily capable of killing very high-level enemies, and the fact that the 4th ability force procs toxin damage is why you see Archon continuity on this build. So along with this guaranteed toxin procs, we're also going to get a free at least 1 corrosive proc for a little bit of extra damage from some free armor stripping. And as you see, we are running overextended here. I do feel that the strength loss is very much worth the extra range that we get. Basically, all of his abilities, except for the Omamori that we replaced, want extra range. And even with that strength loss, we have a lot more strength here than the 183% that you see, because this 183% strength is not accounting for the extra 25% from growing power, or the 40% you can get from Matter Eye, or most importantly, the up to 300% that you can get from Bright Bonnet. So Bright Bonnet in the UI will say that it caps at 150%, but if you double the pulse rate, for example, by hitting it with the 4th ability, which both doubles the pulse rate and the effects of the pulse, that you can actually get up to 300% ability strength from Bright Bonnet, which is incredibly powerful. And it's worth noting that this is also his Helmuth ability. Now, I have not subsumed him yet, so I don't know if the Helmuth version is nerfed. It probably is. I wouldn't be surprised if they nerfed it at like 100% strength, for example, but this gives both additive power strength, to be clear, and energy regen, which is an insanely strong helmet to have, and basically gives him infinite energy and way more strength than your mod screen says. Also, the energy regen that this gives is not counted as a energy regeneration effect. It basically counts as if you're picking up an energy orb. So this actually gives you energy even to frames that are currently channeling an ability. Oberon, for example, being one of the most topical examples of that recently. If you're channeling Oberon's Renewal, you can actually get energy back from Bright Bonnet while you're channeling Renewal. So if you use this as a helmet on any energy-hungry channeling frame, you can have effectively infinite uptime. So you might want to keep that in mind in terms of helmet options. Let's go ahead and hop into a mission here and showcase what this build looks like. Alright, so here we are in a mission. Let's go ahead and get my mushrooms down. I will say, one thing I did not show is make sure that you're using a companion, such as a Panzer, for example, that's using the Synth Deconstruct mod. That makes it so that whenever your companion hurts an enemy, they have a chance to drop health orbs. You need to make sure you have some sort of consistent health orb generation, such as Synth Deconstruct, to actually be able to stack up your Arcane Blessing in a reasonably short amount of time. Otherwise, you're going to be lacking that extra health bonus that the Arcane should be giving you. As you can see right now, I already have some of those health conversion stacks going right now. And once it's capped up all the way, we're going to be at 1,450 health. Even before we hit that point, though, as you can see, we're already quite tanky. Especially if you keep casting and get those occasional shields back, it gives your Aegis constantly a chance to trigger. And if we do go down, which maybe I'll actually let them down me on purpose, I'll show you the revive passive that Nokko has. So let's see if they can actually kill me if I just stand here. Watch this be the one time that my Aegis just refuses to stop going off. I'm actually going to go ahead and skip ahead here until I go down, just so you guys don't have to wait forever in the video. There we go. So I've gone into the cute little sprawling form. And for some reason, it's extremely cheeked up. Who knows why? Don't ask. Just run into the nearest mushroom here, and you automatically get back up. So as long as you have a mushroom down, you're effectively immortal, even if you do literally go down. It's incredibly easy to get back up. If you don't have any mushrooms down, you do go into the regular down state, so you can still use your standard last gasp and whatnot. Let's throw out the fourth here. You can have up to 3 of the fourth bouncy balls going out, and as you can see, they do absolutely incredible damage. Into the millions very easily, especially on the second build that I'm going to show you, because the second build far more focuses on the fourth ability doing absolutely insane millions of damage and whatnot. But even on this version of the build, which is more focused on just having a very easy passive tankiness so that you can take Nokko to missions and not really have to, think so much about staying alive and, sweat as hard. It's still on this version of the build does plenty of damage. I've seen it go as high as 3, 4, 5 million with the right conditions, especially depending on how many viral procs you might have on them from your mushrooms or your companion or whatnot. So if you want to, you can basically just play him as a caster frame. You don't even have to use your weapons very often, but I'll go ahead and pull out my base assist here. Start blasting. Keep his mushrooms down. And again, make sure that even if you were to go to a full weapons platform build, you're still going to have your mushrooms down. Make sure that you at least throw your fourth ability out once to invigorate the mushrooms, because they are permanently invigorated by being hit by your fourth to have double the pulse rate and double the strength. And you definitely want that power strength and energy regen. I think again, I'll just let them have a moment of being able to attack me. We're still not quite at max health orbs here. We're only at 37 out of 50 for the Arcane Blessing, but even with just this much health, you can see I can basically just stand here, and with O Memoria up and Adaptation, and the Aegis occasionally going off, and the health conversion stacks, very, very tanky Nokko setup. So if you want to build on him, where you don't have to think too hard, like I said, you don't have to constantly focus on trying to just stay alive, and you can focus more on the gameplay of throwing out your fourth and shooting enemies and whatnot, this is a build you might be interested in. But if you want a build that does exorbitantly more damage for the fourth ability, and has a different form of survivability based off of invisibility, I have one more build to show you. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. So for this version of the Nokko build, we also switched up the Archon shards. So before we get into the build, let's go over that. We switched off all of the armor shards to 2 ability duration shards and 2 toxin status effects deal plus 45% more damage shards. So that's 90% in total. Because again, the fourth ability has a forced toxin dot, so this is almost doubling the damage of the fourth ability just with these 2 shards on here, which is incredible. And we're still keeping that casting speed shard. And then the actual build is now a invisibility-based build, and we'll talk about how we're turning invisible in just a moment here. Sneak peek, a little tip for you, it's the Huros Kubra. But before we get to that, let's go over the actual build here. We are doing a full mecha build as well. So we have mecha empowered plus mecha pulse on here. And then, of course, on the Kubra, we have both of the other 2 mecha mods. So this altogether means that you will occasionally get a 30-meter status nuke explosion, especially from the toxin damage from your fourth. So that gives you even more AoE killing power. We're also going very high range. We have 265 range because we're running overextended reach and stretch. Still have plenty of strength, again, especially thanks to that second ability giving us a whole lot of extra strength once we're actually in the mission, along with an extra 60% from Augmented and 30% from Crepuscular. Since we're going to be turning invisible from the Huros, you are able to actually benefit from not only the 30% strength from this, but the 3x final crit multiplier does work on the fourth ability. It doesn't seem that most other weapon type effects work, like Tenacious Bond or other multipliers like Nourish or Vigorous Swap or so on, from some testing that myself and other people in the community have done. But Crepuscular does definitely work, which is a massive damage increase because the normal crit multiplier of Nokko's fourth ability of Spore Spring is only 2x. So this takes it to 5x, so this is effectively multiplying your damage by 2.5x. We also changed the Helmuth to Roar, which it says currently it's a 58.2% damage increase, but that's before all of the conditional strength buffs that we have going on here. It actually gets up to like 150% potentially, depending on what your strength is between the second ability and Augmented and Crepuscular and all that. So between Roar, the Emerald Shards, the extra crit from Crepuscular, the marked enemy damage bonus from Mecha Empower, between all of this, this build makes the fourth ability do 10, 20, 30 times the damage of the first build that you saw here. So this is going to hit for millions of damage basically constantly. And our survivability is mostly taken care of, thanks to, again, our Huros Kubro with the stock mod turning us invisible. One of the main reasons that we decided to go with the Huros instead of Shade, there are two main reasons. One, it's a Kubro, so again, we're able to benefit from the mecha mods for that occasional random status nuking, and also, since it's a beast companion, we're still able to benefit from Resourceful Retriever to occasionally get extra resources. For example, if you're playing on Steel Path, which this build is essentially meant for, whenever an Acolyte spawns, then you can get double Steel Essence, which is, of course, very nice. The rest of the mods are essentially what you would expect. Edible Instinct is a nice quality of life, Calculated Redirection just to keep it alive with Hasten Deflection, Fetch, of course, so that we can pick up our resources, so on, so on. Now, the Claw build doesn't really matter because I'm currently using Elusive Posture just for the evasion so that my pet stays alive, because you can only turn invisible with the Huros Kubro if the Huros Kubro is up. If it goes down, your invisibility is going to end, so the evasion helps with having more uptime on that. So let's go ahead and hop into the same mission and see the absolutely insane damage numbers that this does. Alright, so we're back in the mission now. We're just waiting on the enemy flow to start here, and you can see that just from being invisible for Crepuscular, plus the starting bonus of my Bright Bond, without even having Augmented stacked up, for example, my Roar is already giving me a massive 90% multiplier, which again, that's applied twice because Roar is calculated as a universal faction multiplier, so it does the same thing to dots that normal Smite mods do, for example, or Bane mods do, where it applies 2 times, so it's for the purposes of the Toxin dot on the fourth ability, with a 90% Roar, it would be times 1.9 times 1.9, so an absolutely massive multiplier. Let's make sure we keep these mushrooms down here. Throughout the fourth, and there is one of the mecha explosions right there. Just killed that entire group of enemies, so that's why I wanted to use the mecha mods, because it's very funny to get that occasional mecha detonation. There's a 3.2 million red crit. And don't forget, you can have 3 of these out, so you don't have to just do 1 at a time. Let's see how big the numbers can get here. Yeah, everybody's dying. Everybody is absolutely dying. Even if the initial damage number is low, the Toxin dot being multiplied so much by both the Emerald Shards and the Roar that you have equipped is going to make it do an absolutely insane amount of dot damage, and basically nobody can survive it. There's 2.2 million damage right there. And again, that's not even a dot. 2.2 million damage and then millions of dot damage, so literally nothing can survive this. This is actually a basically level cap viable amount of damage that this frame is doing, which is quite funny to see. And hopefully they don't change that, because it's nice when a Warframe ability actually feels like a Warframe. Strength-wise. Canonically accurate Warframe ability. There's a 9.1 million damage right there. I mean, yeah, there's not much to say about this. It's just you keep Roar up, you stay invisible, and you do ludicrously insane amounts of damage. There's a 135% Roar. Way higher than the 90% that we just got. So there's a 6.1 million, and that was just a yellow crit. That wasn't even a red crit. So this can literally hit 10, 20, 30, 40 million damage on that 10th bounce, because every bounce that the fourth ability does gives it 25% more crit chance, all the way up to red crits. Yeah, it's actually, there's a 14 million red crit right there. I mean, what else do I need to tell you guys? You just stay invisible, keep your mushrooms down, throw your fourth out, kill everything. You have infinite energy thanks to your second ability, and you're good to go. I mean, that's about it. Nokko is fantastic. You guys can let me know down below. This is easily one of the best new frames that we've gotten this year, basically ever, to be honest. Very functional frame. Essentially, all of his abilities are actually good. Again, I do think that if you are going to helmet an ability, his 3 is definitely the ability they're going to replace, because it is the least useful of the 4, but it's still not bad. If you want to keep it on there, it's totally not bad at all. It does give you survivability if you want to survive by running around as a little cheeked up mushroom. It's also just funny to see. So yeah, let me know down below, what do you guys think of Nokko? What do you think of this update in general? And I will see you guys for the next video, maybe working on the new art gun update. We'll see.